So I think you will be able to see the screen here right now. Is it visible to you, Rafi? Rafi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Okay. So I had a game, Rafi, just to share with you how we can use opposite color bishops of understanding and how some decisions are made just when you have the theoretical knowledge of it. So we're going to ignore the opening part and just want to get to the main position as quickly as possible. So this is where I started calculating how exactly to develop and how exactly to free your pieces from the black side. So if
Hmm.
I'll just ask you a question here, how would you like to play as black here?
Okay.
This is just an independent middle game decision. Yeah, this has nothing to do with opposite bishops here.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about like how I would approach it. Uh okay, let's just go with like I don't know. Well, I can't just go with something either. Hold on. Okay, just rook e8. Let's go with that for now.
Mhm. So I did the same thing. I just played rook e8, seemed the most logical as well. And suddenly this comes.
Yeah, that's the thing I was looking for is this idea of queen f6.
Yeah,
Or sorry, queen f5 with the threat and the
like,
bishop getting stuck on f6. That's literally why I was thinking so hard.
hmm. So um, I actually did see this and still voluntarily went into this for some other reasons. So I found king f8, queen h7, g6. So, okay, I have given up a pawn, but somehow managed to stabilize my position. Yeah. Of course, this
You
is,
got the. Go ahead.
I mean, of course, this is definitely still maybe slightly better for white. But now, all of a sudden, white has run out of targets, yeah, because his whole play was based on the h7 pawn, and I somehow just gave it up. So now he has nothing to do. So you can say black still enjoys some sort of a compensation because of the double bishops.
Right.
So from here, black actually played very logical and quite natural looking moves, if you can see. And it's not so easy from white to actually take an advantage. And after some moves, black got to this situation where he had a decision to make of whether to go into the opposite color bishops or not. So this is where I just went bc3, bishop e3, cd2, bishop a4, rook e1, rook d1, and bishop d4. So what do you think, Rafi? How is this endgame? Is it drawn? Or you think white has some chances? White can try to win?
I think white has some chances because, well, first of all, like one threat is for him to just try to scoop up that d2 pawn
Mm-hmm,
somehow. The second point here is that he can always play g4 and h4, g4 and h5 to create a pass pawn on this side of the board.
mm-hmm,
And he's already got a pass pawn on the other side, so
mm-hmm.
this the bishop is kind of getting overworked to some extent, but at the same time, like hmm. Yeah, I would safely say that I think white definitely has some chances. I don't know if white can ultimately make it a win, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, like seems like there's winning chances. In a practical situation, I think this might be kind of tricky for black to defend.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Exactly what my opponent thought as well. So basically, when we discussed the game after the analysis session, yeah. So he said that he also just thought white has two distant pass pawns, and that should be enough, to win the game. Oh, completely missing one very important thing, that this pawn is of the wrong square. So basically, if white trades this two pawn and picks up all three black pawns, it's still a draw.
Well, he still has the other pawn too, so he will try to use the king to swap to
Um, yes,
oh, okay.
but I will.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
But white, white doesn't have to necessarily trade F and G pawns directly either, right? So maybe he can try to make some progress with the king first.
yeah. That's what he tried. So he went for the move b3 or b4. It really doesn't matter a lot here. But black came up with the move f5. And now, how are you going to make progress with the king if you don't want to trade these pawns?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that also the problem is that the white bishop really can't be used much at all because he has to stay on the diagonal to
Yeah,
stop the
exactly.
pawn.
He has to stay on the diagonal, yeah, to stop the pawn. Okay.
I
So this,
guess the
mhm,
best possible chance for white would be not to trade any pawns, but walk the king over to the queen side somehow.
okay.
And
So
maybe try to see if he can make any progress. But then in that time, I think the black comes back in time also.
black, let's just say black will not do anything. Okay. So let's just say black will wait with bishop c5, king e2, and let's say king f6. Okay. What what is white's next plan? Let's assume that I am just gonna play king f6 and king g7.
Okay, I'll first play f3 or something.
Okay, perfect. So you will play f3, yeah? Obviously you want to take on d2, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother and calculate bishop b4 here. I just want to see what happens if we do this, let's say.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that even if you take d2,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play bishop f2 and pick up g3 or h4, which means there's no option but to trade
Yeah,
the f and the g pawns at least somehow,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. That's
So
the issue. I mean, if black did not play f5, then yeah, maybe so let's just assume black played bishop c5 here, okay? It's still probably a draw, but let's just see this position, okay? Um, so something like this, and now you play this. So at least here I can have g4.
yeah.
And when you play bishop here, I can have h5. So there will be one pawn remaining, yeah? I mean, I'm not saying this is winning for me, but at least here white does not have to worry about the wrong pawn concept. So if I manage to promote the b pawn and allow black to take it, and I also take the bishop, then white will be winning in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but f5 makes it just way too easier for us, because really after king f3, bishop c5, you can see black did not do anything and just wasted some moves. There is nothing to do here. Just agreed a draw after this. I mean, anyway, black's king is now way too active. But so the whole point was, if you manage to go f3 and g4, then black just takes, plays bishop to g3. You have to play h5, yeah, to try and get something done. So I just take, and just simply go king g7, let's say. So even if you take this pawn and I just keep my king here, it's just a draw. I will sacrifice the bishop for the pawn.
Yep, makes sense.
So from this moment, yeah, when white actually went for this bishop f6, rook e8, and queen f5 idea, I think black with correct play can still manage to make this a draw. I mean, even if you are down a pawn, it's probably still good enough compensation to make it a draw.
Did
And
white have to go to this endgame though? White could have kept the queens on the board, rooks on the board, and
yes,
tried to push for.
I think that could have been a better way, but okay, what else if not knight c3? I mean, it was not so easy to even find a move for white here.
Can we go? Can we go back to the position where the queen f5 was played?
Yes. So I go king f8,
You can take the pawn, sure.
queen h7,
On
yeah?
h7. Yeah.
G6.
Okay. So now let's just say I The d4 pawn is also a problem here. Okay.
Yeah, like
Okay,
basically
check.
that was
H8.
the biggest issue for white is the d4 pawn because black somehow has everything covered. Yeah, I mean, although it's a bad bishop, but still everything is under control. White does not have a proper defender for d4.
Okay, so let's just say queen h8.
Queen h,
8.
h8 is
Check.
impossible.
Oh, what? I meant to say h6. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, queen h6 was played in the game. King g8, queen f4, and king.
And yeah. Okay, so now can white not just go for like a4, b4, rook b1, b5, that kind of stuff?
Probably can try, but not sure if it was. So a4, of course, I don't think will be the right way because I just play queen e7, yeah, and I go queen b4.
Okay, let's just say maybe like rook b1 first or something like that.
Um, in any way, queen b
Before playing a4.
before playing a4. Okay, rook b1, let's say. So queen e7, I think I will play in no matter what.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I think you have to play.
Now a3.
Yeah, so I go rook e8.
b4.
Okay, now I have to play a6.
h3.
So maybe better to play g3.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to clear the back rank, maybe g3 is more logical, yeah, because you don't have a dark square bishop, so why to put on a dark square? Okay, but that doesn't matter a lot here. Yeah, I'll play. I'm just gonna go bg5 here.
So basically the situation is that the two bishops are enough compensation for the pawn.
Yes, yes, that's what is the whole thing here.
And white doesn't have any, and because of the d4 weakness,
White does
combined
not
with the
have
two
any.
bishops, it's equal to a pawn.
Yes, the activity which two bishops provide here almost as equivalent to one extra pawn. So
Can
I'll
we,
just
if you don't mind, can I see the engine's evaluation after
yes,
queen
yes. I
f5?
was I was just going to show you. So basically, we can actually check it from here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see, yeah, it's giving 0.7, 0.5, and apparently this is some sort of a theory as well. So when I played this, I had no knowledge of it. I didn't know that such a theory exists in this position. I was more like, making natural moves. So I played here, rook e1, castle, bishop g5, bishop c6, queen f3. So everybody have played a pretty decent move. And here I played rook e8. So you would expect that the evaluation to fall a lot, yeah, after rook e8. But it's still staying the same. And the computer is agreeing with the variation of bishop f6, rook e8, queen e8, queen f5, and even king f8. So it's too less of an advantage, yeah, to convert, I think. I
Okay.
mean,
Yep. Fair enough.
yeah, the whole game, we we did check, and you can see whatever you were suggesting, and this position is very similar to that.
Sorry,
Just
what? Say that again.
sorry.
What were you saying? Whatever I was suggesting is what?
I was saying that whatever plan you just suggested right now, my
Yeah.
opponent also played pretty much the same thing. Yeah, like he just also played a3 and tried to defend d4 and do something. But it's just that there are no further weaknesses for white to play for, and black is just starting his queenside uh, attack, you can say. So maybe it's some sort of a panic that white went into this endgame, but really there isn't. I mean, There isn't anything to do after this. And this is just an equal position.
Had white had a dark square bishop instead, I think this position would be playable and probably white would be better, right? Because d4 is really what's been keeping him from.
Yes, things would be completely different if white could manage to get a dark square bishop. That's for sure. But how would you do that? Yeah, you are taking bishop f6.
Right.
So if you're going for this, then unfortunately you're not able to get that dark square bishop. But this brings us to some other questions. Maybe the whole idea of going for this pawn is not correct. So maybe white should try to just play something like this, like keep playing positionally. I mean, this is just a maybe, but since it's a symmetrical pawn structure, maybe the lead-in development might give you some extra chances, right? Difficult, of course, but maybe this was a better try. Okay, I think we can move back to our opposite color bishops, yeah?
This
But
game you played recently?
no, this was not recently. Maybe like 5, 6 years back, I guess.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I'll just check. Yeah, 2016, December.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm moving back to some of the positions that we were supposed to discuss. Just give me 1 second. Okay, okay. We have a position like this, and it's black to play. Black is going this way, of course. So the question is, do you think black has any winning chances, or the position is drawn?
I think it's a draw.
Okay.
The reason is because I feel like white can't black can't really ever push g5. So that's one
Mhm.
problem. I mean he can, but the thing is that I'm gonna take with the f pawn probably. Well, that's actually interesting because after pushing with the
Very, you are on the right direction, by the way.
right, because then it becomes harder for that bishop to come and guard h4.
Mhm.
And if h takes g5, then it's possible I can make some threats with that h pawn, which is queening on a light square. So
Mhm.
okay, well now that I found that idea, maybe black does have some chances because some type of king g4 and g5 have to be one of the moves here to try. Because the thing is that in fact, I think g5 needs to come first because after king g4, I think he can always come back to e7, stop g5.
Mhm.
So if g5, then f takes g. Then some type of king g4. Because the g pawn for white is not going to go anywhere. Bishop is guarding the g1, but the h pawn for black could
That's big.
potentially be a threat.
Mhm.
Because that bishop, that light square, light bishop, white, sorry, dark square, white bishop would have to
Going to be a problem, yeah, for white.
potentially give itself up because actually, yeah, king and pawn are just gonna walk straight to the queening square, and the white king is too far away.
Hmm.
So now I have to figure out if I have to play king g4 even at all. Can I just not play g5, h4, h6, king, king g7, king g2, and just queen the pawn? And if f takes g5, then kind of similar situation happens where I pick up the h pawn anyway.
Hmm.
But I just have to spend maybe more time. Like I have to play king h3, king g2, then walk the h pawn again. But either way, yeah, absolutely, I'll go for that.
G5, yeah.
Yeah, right away.
Okay, brilliant.
I think.
So this understanding you must have because like people might think that okay, you are giving like two pass pawns to white, or you are giving like one protected pass pawn, and we don't have anything. But none of it matters, yeah, because your bishop can control the pawns even till for a very long time, and this one extra outside pass pawn will decide everything. So g5 was played, and actually in the game, I think black played king g4, bishop e7, and now king f3. And white already didn't fall for this bishop c5 idea. White just played king d2. So white forced this move, b2, king c2, king e3, king b2, king f4, and this is just a draw. Yeah? I mean, I'm
What?
just gonna keep my king on d2 and bishop on g5, and well, just wait. So you can see two extra pawns isn't helping black, like none, no help at all. It's just going to be an easy draw after this. However, if he sacrifices with g5, yeah, so this makes things way more trickier for white. Okay, so at g5 here, I think is just pretty bad. I mean, two extra pawns are two pass pawns are pointless here. We just play h4, and I think it's simply winning. Yeah. You have to play f5, and I take. I think you have to play bishop d6 as well. And I don't know, maybe I just play h3, or even I can take and just play h3. This should be just winning, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can push the pawn to d4 and d3, so the bishop and the pawn supports each other, and just take the king and push h2, h1.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy for black here.
Yes, I see that. Yep.
So maybe not this, and only fg5 is the only serious alternative to consider here. And yeah, now what? So what's the next thing that we do now?
We have to grab that H pawn quickly. So king G4.
Yeah. So let's see some differences between the original move and king g4 or king g3. So here, if I take this, now what?
Actually, can I take the move back for a second?
Yeah.
I want to instead play D4.
Yes. So you need to save the b3 pawn now,
Right. To
and
tie up the bishop and the or the king to that pawn.
exactly, and not to worry about white's pass pawns, because as you can see, even if he captures with the pawn, it's
Hmm.
still on one diagonal. Yeah.
Right.
And if he captures with the bishop, anyway, these pawns cannot make any progress because black is still controlling both of them on one diagonal. And
Right.
most importantly, this is also defended on the same diagonal.
Mhm.
So basically, white has absolutely no plans once you find the move d4. So d4, he takes d4, king g3, bishop a3. So white wants to defend using his king as well. King h4, king d3. I think this attempt by white is a fair attempt. Yeah, at least his king will be in the game. So king d3, king g5, king e4, h4, king f3, bishop d5, and white had to resign. So basically, it means that after king f2, I think black just plays king f4 and pretty much takes the king to this side now.
Did the king have to take that G pawn from white? Or could he have instead just use the king? So instead of taking the G5 pawn, can we play yeah, that one, king G3?
d3? I think yes,
And
you
then
can. I think yes, it's also possible. Maybe what might be the reason why white black did not play this? I think king e4 might be one of the reason.
so now if I play H,
h4,
oh, the problem is that at some point there's bishop D6. Well, I guess I can always move my king out of the way first, but
but
I think I see the problems. The bishop is going to be pushed off that one diagonal and it
yeah,
has to
one
defend two
diagonal.
diagonals all of a sudden now.
Yes, exactly. So
And there's
now,
always bishop D6, sacrificing bishop for the pawn. But then again, that can't really happen either because there's B2 also.
no. So here's the catch. So right now you have to defend the bishop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where so let's just say bishop on f7 or something like this. Okay.
White's
So
pawn is coming faster.
yeah, white will push d6,
E4.
so h3 and d7, right? So very quickly, white managed to get here. And if we
Instead of
make
hold on one second. So play bishop f7. Okay, play d6. So now if I go bishop e8, then
e8, okay, so now
you can just play g6, I think, right? Or something.
I think no, I will probably avoid getting checked somehow, and maybe just play king
Oh,
d3.
g6 comes with check. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, g6 comes with a check. Um, I mean, I want to play king d3 here, or even
Hmm.
maybe king d4, but or
Wait.
king d4 makes more sense. So now if you go h3, I go g6.
Okay, let's follow the line for a second. I think it's getting very complicated, but eventually I will be able to queen and pick up the a3 bishop. You pick up the bishop on e8, but then
How?
now I have d6 pawn I'm picking up also, right? Then
Okay,
I have that passed pawn on the b file.
okay, but in which variation?
So play. Oh, there's another problem here. After h7, he can play d7, right?
Yes, I can try d7 as well.
Okay, let's play h7.
Okay, I want to first stick to the usual variation.
Okay, I get a queen. Um, check on h or sorry, a1.
No, no, you are on the check.
Oh, that's oh, never mind. Never mind. Yeah, this is not good for black at all.
Mhm. I think I think seeing all these, maybe black decided, that the best way is to get rid of the
Yeah,
counter player.
right. Makes
Because
sense.
now I don't worry about this pawn. So for example, I'm pretty sure that if White's king was on c7 and White's pawn was on b6, still Black will have more winning chances in this position.
Hmm.
Like White's bishop is having the worst day, because both these pawns are queening on white squares. Yeah, so you have to control them on these squares.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a tough job, and I'm pretty sure Black will somehow make progress here. I actually, just now I remembered, I can share something with you, which is, at least what I remember was very much similar to this situation.
Give me
Um,
1 second. I have to run the bathroom just real fast. 1 second.
sure, please take your time.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, okay. So,
Yeah.
wanted to actually show you one game, so I'm gonna skip to the part where I actually had a transition to make, and this is the transition I made here.
Wait, I'm sorry. So sorry. Can you go back one more time?
Yes, yes.
I missed a couple of the moves.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So at this point, I just played f4. So basically creating one distant pass pawn, yeah.
Mhm.
And after rook b1, I offered rook b5 basically, and we got to a position like this. So this is a very similar situation to what we saw right now. Black will have probably two distant pass pawns here, and black will play bishop e6 and control this thing in one diagonal, and then activate his king. And
And in that time, white will not be able to just take the f4 pawn and try to get that h5 pawn also.
um, so what black did in this position, I want to just show you this. So black played bishop e6 first, okay? So now what will white do? So at first I thought white will play h4 and pretty much try to do the same thing what you suggested right now. But then I figured out black can just play bishop g4
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then now take the king. So basically the king is now stuck. It cannot, I mean, white's king cannot come out and approach the black pawns.
Mhm.
So this pawn I don't worry right now because anytime d7 I just take.
Yeah.
So this was the first thing that came to my mind. Second thing is when king f3 was played and we go bishop here and get to this position. So how exactly is white going to create counterplay here? Because if he manages to come here, by the time I will also try to get somewhere here. So if he pushes d7, I'm just gonna take it and then just push the h pawn, yeah. So white's bishop cannot control both the h pawn and the a pawn at the same time. I mean, it doesn't matter if black actually goes for the bishop with his king. Yeah, I can just put my king on b5, thus depriving white of all counterplays, and I will push the a pawn and the h pawn.
Mhm.
So he won't be able to stop both these pawns.
Right.
So in the game, something like this happened, and white tried to like restrict my king as well. But I just played bishop g4 and activate the pawn on that side. So just keep pushing. And now again, it's a very similar thing. I will just play king to d5 and take the king to the other end of the board.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes
No,
sense for
noted.
sure.
So we got to this position, c5, king here, bishop e5, king g2, and this was the last try. Like you still have to be a bit careful because this and this are the wrong square, yeah.
Mhm.
So this was the last moment where you should not play h2 in this position because he will take and play king b4. That's going to be a draw. But you should play a3.
Yeah.
So now,
Can you
as
go
I
back
told,
for 1 second?
yeah, sure. Further or this position?
Yeah, right here. Right here is fine. So was there any Yeah. I was gonna say maybe white tries to grab that the A pawn first somehow, but black doesn't have to push the A pawn, right?
Yeah, now I don't have to push the a pawn. I'll just wait.
Right. He can just play H7 instead, right?
Yeah, h2. That's my plan.
Or H2, sorry, yeah. And then the bishop plus the. So let's just say we do play H2. Whose
Uh,
turn is it right now?
it's
White to move,
white to
right?
play. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say white doesn't grab that pawn yet.
Okay. So
He
something like this.
waits, so something like that, and then will black play H2 here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take. So
Now when
yeah,
you
nothing
take,
to
I
do
push
here, right?
a3. Yeah, this is just lost.
I was just trying to see if there's any way he can. The moment he takes on FC5, A3 will come. So yeah, that's not gonna work. And
Yeah.
you can't just leave both A and C pawns
Oh no, no, no. That's
lost.
just lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, I got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, this kind of position was very tricky to evaluate and decide if this can be won or not. But yeah, somehow this idea worked pretty nicely for me. And yeah, I mean, obviously this is a practical play. I don't think theoretically this was of any importance. But once I got to the opposite color bishop, like once I just figured out, that I can give this pawn away, it was much easier for me to find rook b5. So this is the best thing. If we get a position like this is also very easily winning for black here because I just put my bishop on c6 and just walk my king up to the b3 square.
So the main takeaway, like if we were to condense this into a principle to follow, it would be that, like, what would that be exactly? Like, what do I need to remember principally from these positions?
I think the most important thing is what we saw in this position. Yeah, it's in opposite color bishops. It's really not a lot about connected pass pawns or protected pass pawns. It's more about that particular pass pawn which can go very fast or it can keep some of your pieces busy. Yeah? So probably separated pass pawns take the precedence here. So they are the priority in these positions.
Mm.
And the second rule, which is very important, that is do not allow any sort of fortresses for your opponent. Because if somebody can sacrifice material and create a blockade, that's an easier defense than actually try to stop your activity. Like for example, yeah, in this one, we just saw the variation. If black would have played king b4 and king f3, hoping to repeat and then try g5, yeah, this additionally gives white an opportunity to play king d2. And white actually gives up two pawns to get one pass pawn. And that pass pawn is more powerful than these two pawns.
Right.
So basically, we should not count a lot of material when we are dealing with opposite color bishops. It's always more about which pawn is the most active, which pawn can go faster, which pawn can create a defensive barrier for your pieces. So things like that. Like for example, yeah, I mean, if you look at this position, so let's just say this position. I think if it was a middle game situation, yeah, just hypothetically speaking, everybody
Yeah.
will prefer this pawn, right?
Mhm.
I mean, most of the players would say that the d6 pawn is very important.
Mhm.
But if you look at it from a completely opposite color bishop endgame perspective, d6 pawn is as good as no pawn. Yeah, there is no point of having this pawn.
Mhm.
I mean, the f4 pawn or the a4 pawn are way more important than the d6. Because
Yeah,
if we look at this variation, so let's just say bishop g4. I mean, okay, white has three pieces which can move. One of them is the very important protected pass pawn. Yeah, you can say, which is also very valuable in most of the endgames, right? Like if it was a knight endgame, if it was a rook endgame, I'm pretty sure the d6 c5 pawns will be considered like one of the strongest assets that white has here, but just not in opposite color bishop. Because really, if I manage to play king b7, king a6, king b5, this pawn has absolutely no progress, no future, you can say. So I think that's very, very important. This is what I feel.
got it. Yeah.
Because if we go a little bit into the game, I remember so this was from a Royal Lopez Berlin defense, and I remember like I voluntarily allowed such a situation. So like basically I'm gonna try and figure it out. Yeah. So I allowed knight d6 to happen and played rook g8 and played g6. So, you know, most of my friends thought that, okay, this pawn is going to be very dangerous now, and white will always be better in these kind of endgames. Yeah. But actually, I'm not sure. I mean, this d6 pawn, can it do anything in this position? Because how the game progressed, yeah. So it seemed to me that it was black who was trying to get things done, and black actually won a pawn. Yeah. So I think that's a big takeaway from these positions, that you need to be careful when you have these kind of separated pass pawns in opposite color bishop. Maybe that protected pass pawn is not as strong as a isolated pawn on the other side of the board. Just to give you slightly better perspective. Yeah? So when we got to this position, right? So let's do one thing, Rafi. Let's just replace the bishops with the rooks. Okay. So let's put a white rook on b4. Okay, maybe on b1 and black rook on e6. I am pretty sure then these two pawns will be way more important than the f pawn or the h pawn, right?
Yeah, because they're further advanced. I mean, the d6 pawn is further advanced and it's protected, right?
Yes, exactly. The d6 pawn is further advanced, protected, and always it will possess some kind of a dangerous threat, yeah, to queen itself.
Right. There has to be a piece tied down to them all the time.
There has to be, yeah, there has to be, like most likely there has to be the king tied down to the defense, which in
Yeah,
general is very difficult because you don't want to play like down a king, yeah, in the end game. And
right.
white at that time is not worried about this pawn or this pawn or this pawn, because since the rook is present and also white has the king at the appropriate place, white knows that even if these pawns advance themselves to the seventh rank, still my rook on the first rank can control both the pawns, yeah, simultaneously.
Mhm.
But that would not be the case with the bishop. Yeah, the bishop has to be careful, like way before the pawn starts advancing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I think I mean, that's probably one of the biggest differences and one of the biggest takes from these positions that we must realize.
The importance of the bishop being able to stop pawns on one diagonal
One diagonal,
is one
yes,
thing. Um,
definitely.
and pawns queening on, you know,
opposite square
Just
of
paying
it.
attention to which color square the
Yes,
pawn is queening on and things like that,
yes,
especially the
definitely.
corner pawns.
Yeah, definitely, especially the corner pawn. And I remember, like I don't know, most of my games, like most of my practical examples in opposite color bishop, have been very instructive. So I will just share one more with you. I just remember there was one game where I was pressing the whole game. So basically, I was trying to win the whole game, and somehow it didn't work out for me. And in the end, I think I ended up blundering some sort of a tactics I missed, and I had to use this opposite color bishop ideas to, like, after such a long game where I'm pressing, I had to use these basic ideas to pretty much defend my position. So just give me 1 second, Rafi. I'll just add that game. Okay, so yeah, so let's just see from this situation. You can actually see that white has absolutely nothing to worry about, yeah, in this position. It's black who has to be careful. And that's the reason you can see white has been pressing and of course was like better, yeah, so far. So here I would say that a small mistake was made, probably with f3, and I actually completely forgot about this tactics with 95. So the point of the tactics was if I take, he takes the bishop to c6, and I have to take, and he takes rook a7. And I cannot take this because bishop d4 is coming.
Yeah.
So it was an unfortunate slip, okay, of the hand, and this tactics came, which is fine. I mean, I think it's like because of time pressure, it happened at that time, but it's okay. So now I have to play this endgame, yeah, where I'm down a pawn, and let's see if I can defend it or not. So the constant threat or the constant problem which I was thinking was black might get connected pass pawns, yeah, in this situation. So my idea was to somehow make sure that I use this wrong square to defend myself. And luckily enough, I got that. So I played c4, e5, bishop c6, king e6. So remember, yeah, Rafi, I am not worried about d4, yeah, in these kind of positions. Because if you remember our first sessions of opposite color bishops, these are the positions which are easily drawn, yeah, because all these squares are under white's control.
So you would just play like bishop e4 here.
Yes, I would probably play just bishop e4 here in this position. And that's going to be very, like, one of the
Right.
easiest position. So bishop e4
But
followed by
then
h5.
uh in that time, can he try to squeeze in like king e6 and f5?
I'll just take, like, doesn't matter. Gf5, gf5, and I'll remove the bishop, yeah, bishop to c2 or something. It's the position that we already know from our first topic. So
Oh, the king can't step to e4, e5 because of the pawn
exactly,
on
exactly.
five.
Let's just say I play king f1, okay, hypothetically, and you go this, takes, and I'll play this.
Mm,
So in order to play e4, you need your king on d5, yeah. But then I take this.
right.
So this is
Yes.
just going to be a draw, and that was the reason I was actually suggesting h4 first, like even in this position to start with h4, or maybe even here to start with h4 to just create h5 as an additional threat, like let my bishop be here, and when you play king e6, I will play h5. I can even play bishop e8 after king e6. Like white has multiple drawing chances, yeah. But okay, we'll get to king e6, which I think made more sense. So now also f5 is pointless. So king d6, bishop e8, king e6, king f1. And black had to play e4, yeah, in this position to try and get something done. So I played king e2, king e7, bishop c6, king d6, this. And this is how you use the opposite color bishop knowledge. So fe4, d8 queens.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna
definitely
come back and grab
e4, yeah.
mhm.
So now you have to play king e7 actually, because if you play f5 right now, I just take bishop g6. And this is an easy draw as well.
What if he protects the
Sorry,
Oh, there's no way to protect the e4 pawn, really. I was gonna say king e5, but
king e5,
after king and bishop both attack that pawn, I think there's no way to keep
yeah,
it, right?
cannot defend it exactly.
Actually, wait. Hold on. Can we go back and play king e5 for black
Uh, Here,
instead of f5? Yeah.
king e5,
Oh, then f7 is falling. Okay, never mind.
f7,
Never
yeah.
mind.
I mean, this is not a problem for me, like even if you make some progress here, I can take it or just play this or even play h5. Like I already know that these two pawns will be neutralized by these two pawns, and this is a draw. So yeah, black had to play this king e7. Now comes bishop c6, f5, and gf5, gf5, and thanks to this thing which I spotted long back, bishop e4. And it's a draw. Eh? So you can, I mean, you can see that from these games, it is kind of essential to have some sort of a knowledge about the opposite color bishops, which will help you make these decisions, or at least help you foresee these decisions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Rafi. I think for today, let's wrap it up.